Hey, this is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's Friday. It's kind of a nice day, and I'm just going about my work here, and I'm really fortunate that I love my work. I love what I do, and sometimes when I'm in the midst of it, I get inspired. And I got inspired this morning, and I think it has a lot to do with, this ordeal that we've gone through has been difficult. It's been difficult for our family and the people around us, very difficult. But out of that comes some good things, some really good things. There's heat, there's pressure, and it builds perseverance, it builds character, and that's come out of this. And I want to share this message of hope in this. We all wanted a different outcome in the court of law the other day, and we didn't get it. So our expectations were not met, and we get crestfallen. We think that, we have no hope. We have leadership in state government that circumvents our wishes. They circumvent the United States Constitution, and there's nothing we can do about it. But I get to thinking about that, and it's not true at all. As a matter of fact, nothing could be further from the truth. We have people in leadership now, but they're just people in leadership right now. At our disposal, we have an election coming up, and we can vote them out, and that's what we need to do. What do we still have? We still have the Bill of Rights. We still have our First Amendment. And that is precisely what I'm doing right now. I can get on the internet and I can talk to 10,000 people about this issue. And I think people can relate to this because a lot of people are dealing with pressure like this from state, local, and federal government. And why are you dealing with this? I believe it's because of our politicians, our regulators, our bureaucrats, and our leaders have steered away from constitutional law. And that's not a good thing. Why have they done that? Because it's easy. It's easy. It's a lot easier to make a declaration than it is to pass a law. And like in our case, they declared that our pigs were illegal. It was kind of like the king showing up and saying, it is decreed that any pig with a straight tail or curly tail is now illegal. It's easy to do that, but that is not how our system is. We don't have kings and queens here in the United States. Some of them act like it, but that's not the case. I want to tell you something, too. When I was a little kid, I'm from Massachusetts. I used to walk to school in the morning. I went to Spring Street Elementary School. So I walked down Spring Street, and near my parents' house there was a monument. And it was a small one, but my grandfather used to read it to us. And it said, near the spot, Nathan Howe left his plow in the furrow to respond to the Lexington alarm of April 18th, 1774. And it goes on to tell a little bit more of them, but I don't really remember it because I stopped going to school there in the 4th grade. But I remember that much of it, and last time I was home, which was about a year ago, I went there and I pushed the snow back, and sure enough, it was still there. Here's the thing about that. Nathan Howe was a farmer. I'm a farmer. Did Nathan Howe really want to put down his plow and go back to the farmhouse and get his pitchfork or his musket, Old Betsy, to respond to the Lexington alarm of April 18th, 1774? Did he want to do that? No, he was a farmer. He didn't want to go and shoot. He didn't want to do that. Why did he do that? Because the alternative was far worse. All right? The alternative was far worse. Now, through this struggle, it's become clouded because we're talking about feral pigs and Russian boars and this and that. But really what this boils down to is an American citizen's rights have been trampled. His constitutional rights, the Fifth Amendment to be exact, have been trampled. The Fifth Amendment states that my property is protected. If they want to take my property, they have to go through due process of law. Right? Due process of law in this case would have been put a bill before the legislature that any pig with a straight tail or a curly tail is illegal. Well, that wouldn't get very far, would it? And it's designed that way. So if anybody puts something crazy out there, our legislative body would say, we can't do this. So it's a good system that we have. In this case, we were forced to take the Department of Natural Resources to a court of law. They strung it out for 2.5 years and ran us completely out of money. And then 10 days before we were to walk into a court of law with them, they pulled a very sleazy maneuver and got the case dismissed. Actually, the king came back to Baker's Green Acres and said, "It is now decreed that Baker's pigs are okay. We got no problem with Baker's pigs." So you can see the problem with that. Maybe I should be overjoyed because now I have the only certified DNR okay pigs. But I'm not happy with that because our country is, we have to look on a bigger scale than that. We have to defend the weakest amongst us, and that's our children, that's our neighbors, and their constitutional rights are just as important to me as my constitutional rights. What the state has done in this case is they've circumvented the court system, and they threw me a bone. I'm an angry dog coming at them, biting their leg, and they threw me a bone. Oh, your pigs are legal. Oh, you don't get a $700,000 fine. That's really punk. And, I can't bite on that. I just can't bite on that. And I don't want you to bite on that either. We have a leadership problem, all right? And this is very simple. We need to go to the Bill of Rights, all of us, really, everybody that hears this. Let's go to the Bill of Rights, Google it, download it, page, let's read that, and let's keep going through that so we know that. And then at election time, let's not talk about straight tails, curly tails. Let's not talk about that. Let's sit these people down who want to be our leaders and say, how do you feel about free speech? Tell us what you know about the First Amendment. Okay? Tell us what you know about the Fourth Amendment. And now you should know by that time what the answer is on that. Because if these people would conduct their activities, everybody from the lowest level supervisor in the township all the way up to the governor of the state, if they would conduct their business per the Bill of Rights, we would have no problems like we have now. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this lawsuit. The state has topped us times 10 on that because they do everything on a grand scale. And what do we have? They threw me a bone, but the rest of the state of Michigan still has to deal with straight tails, curly tails. So we've accomplished nothing. But the state has accomplished something. They've accomplished a precedence that if you go up against what we say, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and in the end, we're going to end run you, just like we did to Baker. That's what they're saying. We can't let it lay there. What we have to do, us, the population, the populace of this state, we have to come to grips with the fact that we have a leadership problem, right? Leadership needs to be replaced. They need to be replaced with people who are constitutionally minded. That means the decisions that they make are based on the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. The Bill of Rights is there to protect the citizenry from government. And as you see right now, it's very easy to test this. Call down to the Attorney General's office and say, we think what Harry Martin did in the court was deplorable, and it's a poor example of what your office represents. And what you will get from the employee there is, we don't think so. We don't think so. We think you did the right thing. So that's who's in charge right now. I was in a meeting last night, and there were 30 men in the room, and any one of those men would maintain the office of Attorney General far better than the man that's in there right now. Why? Because they are constitutionally minded. If something came across their desk, like the declaratory ruling, that was going to take citizens' property without due process of law, he would say, no, Fifth Amendment, cannot do that, boys, and send it back to the DNR. Rewrite this if you want to do this. If the DNR really wanted to do this right, if we really had a feral swine problem in the state, they would have written up a bill, would have gone to the legislature, I'm sure some of the people in the legislature would say, oh yeah, I've seen a feral pig, but as it is right now, nobody down there in Lansing's ever seen a feral pig. So it's completely made up, and no one keyed on it except at this level, at the citizens level. And 99% of the citizens that I've talked to have agreed with me that it's baloney. Other words too sometimes. But they feel like there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. Why? Because look at what Baker has gone through. We don't want to go through that. Well, I tell you what, freedom is not free. I served with a large number of men and women through my years in the military, and every one of them made sacrifices for this flag, this Constitution, this way of life. And it's a group effort. Everybody has to step up and do their part. So, okay, what do we got to do? We got to replace some people. And let's start up that conversation, and let's keep that conversation going. And I want to caution people, you citizens have been systematically divided. There are two parties and they've divided you. Get over that. Really, get over that. Some people like jazz music, some people like rock and roll. It doesn't mean you can't both love constitutional freedom. All right? So get over that. Please get over that. In this case, we've done really well with this. The Attorney General would have had our head hanging from their belt if it were not for the public. And, you need to be involved. You need to communicate this, and do not let them divide you along political lines. Don't let them do that. It's 50%. They divide you in half, divide and conquer. That's what they do. It's up and down. It's us and them. It's the constitutionalist and the non-constitutionalist. And I don't care what office a person holds. If they are not willing to stand up and defend the Constitution of the United States, they need to be gone post haste. Okay, that's my message. I'm inspired, and I hope you're inspired too. Carry on.